Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Sorry that I missed one of these and I'm a little late with this one, but I did want to check in now that we have finished Module 5. I know we're right in the middle of Module 6 right now, but I was able to finish reading through your blog posts and provide some feedback for those. I'm interested to hear your thoughts and responses to some of my comments via Medium. Please do take advantage of that. Also, if you haven't been able to submit any of those assignments and you have questions or need any help, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's what I'm here for. Um, I've been enjoying our conversations and thinking around the kind of civil war and conflict that resulted after the defeat of Victoriano Huerta. And so a few of the major themes that we've been thinking about is, why did Villa and Zapata split off into the conventionist sort of faction following the Convention of Aguascalientes in 1914? Excuse me. Why weren't they able to remain united with Obregón and Carranza under the constitutionalist banner? Some of that, you all did a good job of outlining the differences between those two camps in terms of their revolutionary goals. Villa and Zapata tended to look and think more locally and regionally, especially Zapata, who really was mostly concerned with fixing the land tenure situation in Morelos, in his home state. Villa, of course, had a stronghold in Chihuahua, also Durango, and a little bit into the eastern side of Sonora. And he ended up having to retreat there and become essentially a guerrilla fighter in the last few years of the revolution before his retirement from revolutionary activity. And so, what was it that allowed Carranza and Obregón and Calles to take national leadership? A lot of it had to do with their focus and with their pragmatism. Even more so than Carranza, Obregón was a pragmatist, and he recognized that even if what he was looking to do would change the face of Mexico and would honor, at least partially, many of the demands of the revolutionaries, particularly land reform, he did just enough in that regard. He was also working to not alienate the old guard, who was still in power, but again, 10 years of violence had passed. So the situation for him in terms of how tired folks were of the revolution, this is something many of you pointed out, was a very different landscape than what Francisco Madero faced. So this all kind of encompasses the time when Pancho Villa raided Columbus, New Mexico. That's something that I've examined and write about in my new book. It was an act of desperation as Villa's star was on the decline, but it was something that allowed Villismo to resurge as he gained notoriety and popularity in the north again, as people united behind Villa against Carranza and against the Pershing expedition. He put Carranza in an untenable position, but as we saw, Carranza was able to play that fairly well by not giving the U.S. permission to enter, or at least only trying to limit them to Chihuahua, and by actually not letting the U.S. forces kind of have free reign over their movements in Chihuahua. Most of the skirmishes that the Pershing expedition experienced were with Carrancistas, against Carrancistas when they were against Mexican military figures. So again, that says something about the ways that Carranza had to try to deal with that situation. So all of this sets us up for thinking about the revolution as official history and myth. That's what Benjamin focuses on. And I think that ties together nicely with the Cardenas years, because he has been so mythologized as the revolution finally coming to fruition, coming to a culmination because of his focus on land reform and his willingness to connect with the people and visit with them in the countryside in his campaigning, but also even as president. He would take an interest and be physically present when people throughout Mexico had issues that they were demanding resolutions for. So he's gained notoriety for those reasons. But Benjamin helps us understand the ways that, and I think this was something that one of you mentioned in a blog post, was, how can all of a sudden these people who were so hated, Carranza, Villa, Zapata, how are they all of a sudden heroes? How are they venerated and sort of resurrected and repurposed? There's a whole process for that, and that's what Benjamin gets into in the form of all of the different commemorations that were being held to make sense of the revolution. And so I really find the ways that events like this are remembered and commemorated to be fascinating, because this is how history often functions in the daily lives of most people. Most people in Mexico know about the commemorations, they know about the celebrations, they see the monuments. They, like in the United States, they have their school curriculum that they study and they get a certain take on that. But those things can be contentious. Those things can be slanted in certain directions. And so as historians in the profession, working academically, we try to pull back the curtain on all of those things and see how and why these myths and memories were and are created. So I hope you enjoy this section of the class. I know we're almost done. We're getting toward the end when we'll be focusing on a final project around the book, The Underdogs. If you have questions about that, please don't hesitate to reach out. I know I've tried to kind of nudge you in the direction of doing a digital project for that, but please do know, if you would rather and you feel more comfortable writing an essay, there is nothing at all wrong with that. That's still a big part of what I do in my work. So, please do keep that in mind as well. Also, a couple of you reached out to me about extra credit, because there is that category in the gradebook. In years past, I've been in Mexico City while I've taught this class, and so I've made some videos on location and given some opportunities for extra credit via announcements in that way. I think I'll try to pull some of those up so that you can have that opportunity if it's something you're looking to do. And it also, from my perspective as the instructor, just gives you another way of engaging with the history of the Mexican Revolution that's a little different than what we've been doing otherwise in class. So, all right, I will leave it there. Thanks for your hard work. I know the summer 4-week session goes quick. It's intensive, and I've really enjoyed the effort that you've all put into this and that you've all been showing, and I've really learned a lot from your thinking and your perspectives thus far.